Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Okay, so I am here with another video on HEXplore, the Forests of Adramon. And I am playing this game with incorporated into the base set the Return to the Forests of Adramon expansion. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this game and give you an example of how many options you have in a turn. A lot of people who complain about adventure games and these kinds of games, they often bring up the very valid concern that there aren't a lot of meaningful choices to make. You know, the extreme example on the other end of the spectrum from this game would be Talisman played with the basic rules. Your main choice in that game is you roll your d6 to move, and then you can choose to go left or right. So you basically have two choices to make in a game of Talisman. In general. Of course, I don't actually believe that. I think there are other things. But in general, that is a complaint that people have about games like Talisman and other adventure games. And so I could see some people maybe thinking that is the case with all adventure games. However, that is definitely not the case with HEXplore. The number of available choices to you as a player in this game, it's an overabundance. It's almost paralyzing. And I'm going to show you this game that I'm playing right now. I am playing a two-hero party. I am playing a fairy floromancer. So I chose my classes and I randomized my races. So my fairy floromancer is my healer, and I am playing a Corrigan Stormcaller, and the Corrigan is my damage dealer. And this combination here, I have come to discover, is a really good combination. If you guys want to play a fun combination, play a Corrigan Stormcaller. He's able to aggro the hit from an enemy. So usually when an enemy hits you, a lot of times you're going to be rolling randomly to see which of the heroes gets hit. But the Corrigan can spend energy to draw the aggro, and that really synergizes well with this ability that he has for Scorch and Scorch damage and Wind Wall. I'm not going to go into the details on how the abilities work in this game because they're insane and it would take me way too long. So anyways, that's one aspect of the game that I'm still not sold on, is the really deterministic kind of mathy combat, but it is what it is. But let's go over all of my options here for a turn. So I'm basically on, this is your turn counter. I've gone through one complete cycle of the fate. And so right now I'm on turn 10 of this game. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to level up and get powerful enough to where you can fight the end boss. And that end boss is, of course, Adramon herself. Adramon the Magi. She's a level 10 boss. So this is what you're trying to work up to fight. You have to invade her city and get in there and kick her butt. So that's, every game is pretty much the same. You're trying to do that unless you're playing for Valor. Valor is a little system that you can play to just kind of go for achievements that aren't necessarily winning the game. And if you do that, you kind of have a little legacy aspect of this game where you can keep track on a chart of things to add to subsequent games that you play. But right now, we're just playing a regular game. And in order to really level up enough to get to her, to Adramon, we want to try to get these relics. These relics are powerful legendary items that were used, generations ago to defeat the evil, and we need to collect the relics. We need to collect fragments of the relics to forge them again to defeat the evil. And each one of these has an associated number of quests to to find on the map in order to find their fragments. Right now, I have 3 destinations on 4 different relics. So those are right there already is an option of 12 different things that I could be doing on a turn. Additionally, I also found this location called Paragon's Hall. And this is a new location that has come out on the board represented by this token here. And this is a new location that has another potential relic to find with another quest associated with that. So there's 13 things that I could be going for on a turn. So let's just take a look at this one. So this is the Scepter of Light. This is one relic. I have a possible 5 that I could find in this game. And to do so right now, I basically have 3 leads. So the destinations will be marked on the map in quadrants B, C, and G. Right now, I don't have quadrant G on the map. So one thing I could do on my next turn is I could move my party token to an edge of the map and explore to reveal a new location looking for tile G. If this was the case here, I would have drawn tile M and I could have played that. So I could be just going around exploring, trying to find tile G in order to undertake this survival quest. I could also go to quadrant B, which is over here, map tile B, to do this keeper quest. Or I could go to quadrant C, map tile C, which is here, to do this navigate quest, and that is right here. So just on this one relic, there are 3 different things that I could do. I could do that, the same options for this relic, the same for this relic, the same for this relic. So already there are a whole bunch of different things I could do. I could also, because of the fate track, as the fate track ticks up, every turn you mark one of these spots, and every time it goes past 6, you add 1 to this number here. And that, as the time ticks away, these things called sentinels, these massive constructs, are going to be appearing on the board at these battle sites. As the fate tracker ticks up, these sentinels get more powerful. So right now there is 1 sentinel out on the board at this battle site here. And these battle sites, those represent heroic, legendary places. And those are places that you are eventually going to have to take your relic fragments to in order to forge them into those great weapons. So you want to make sure you can clear these battle spaces off, these battle sites off of these sentinels. And you want to try to do that as they appear, because if they appear earlier in the game, they are weaker. So right now, I could move my party token up to that spot there in order to face off against basically a level 1 sentinel. So that's another option I have. I did recently just discover this root system. The root system is shown by these tokens here. And these tokens are kind of like, it's like a root system underground that you have discovered from these great trees. And you can follow those. And those make these spaces, every space that has one of those, adjacent to one another. So it allows you to move across the board quicker. You can see here, you've discovered a series of connected tunnels under the forest. The ancient trees that must have existed here were larger than any in existence. So right now I could use that root system to maybe move over here to have an opportunity to fight the level 2 boss. The level 2 boss is the Death Moth. So that is a very viable option right now. I've already defeated the level 1 boss in this game. So level 2 boss would be something that I could do. I don't have a bounty. Usually you're going to have bounties and to fight the bosses, and those are going to help you get fragments. I don't have a bounty out right now for this level 2 boss. However, I do want to try to power up my character, and fighting a boss is a really good way to get rewards to power up your characters. I could also simply move here to this level 3 boss, which is also, I think, doable with the characters I have now, and that is Theranos, the Rotting Treant. So that would be another way that I could go to power up my characters. And let's see, what else could I do? So we said I could be exploring. We could be going after any of these stacks of quests to find the fragments for the relics. We could go on boss hunts in order to help level up. We could go to some of these wayposts to spend gold and maybe buy some workshop pieces to where we could go and we could establish a workshop that would allow us to pay to level up our stats. We could go to these enthralled cities and go on a looting expedition to find items and to find gear. We could, like I said before, we could explore. We could just wander around and have random encounters with any of these 5 known cards and 1 unknown card. And maybe that's about it, as if we don't need any more choices. So and this is turn 10. I mean, you could have 20, 40, 60 turns in this game, constantly adding new things to do. And it can get pretty overwhelming. I mean, right now I have a number of fragments that I've found. I found a fragment for the scepter, which I'm looking for, the staff, which I'm looking for, and the crown. So I'm 1/3 of the way to completing 3 of the relics. I've found this dark relic, which is dark relic. Another thing I could do is I could go to one of these green hexes and I could teleport into this Fey realm, and I could take that to kind of like the fairy queen, to trade that with her and maybe buy some special items. What else could I do? I could just, every few turns, what I like to do is I like to go through the storybook and just see if I've triggered anything. So I recently just triggered this root system. So we could find the root system here. Let's see, where is that? Discoveries. There's the way this is organized. Well, it's kind of unorganized. It's just a book that, as you do certain things, you can kind of flip through the book and read a little bit about what you have done and a little bit about the nature of the world. So, I did recently have this discoveries of the root system, so I could take a look at that and I could read, my misguided steps send you tumbling through the ground and onto a soft bed of moss beneath the forest surface. After brushing clumps of dirt from your eyes and clothing, you gaze around and quickly become awestruck. The roots of these mighty trees are a wonder to behold, and even better yet, they seem to lead somewhere. Taking a scrap of parchment, you begin to silently traverse the underside of the woods, making careful note of each turn and dip. For once, fate seems to have smiled upon you and delivered a safe passage, free from the mind wiped. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, there's just an abundance of choices. This really truly feels like an open world game. So what do we have to see? 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3. That's 12 different quests we could be solving. An additional quest for this relic, that's 13. We have 2 bosses we could be fighting, so that's 15. We could go and fight this sentinel, that's 16. We could just explore to try to find more land. What is that? 17. We could just be trying to have random quests, that's 18. Or we could be looking through the storybook and kind of like learning about the lore. That's like 18, 19 things that we could be doing on turn 10 of this game. If you are also playing to try to solve some of the valor, well, that opens up a whole bunch of other things that you could be doing. So yeah, Forests of HEXplore, the Forests of Algernon, and I'm sure the other game too, the Valley of the Dead King, I think it's called. There's never a shortage of things to do from a turn-to-turn basis, and it really is kind of overwhelming, especially when you factor all of that in with just trying to remember all of the things that your characters can do, what their items do. This is one game that I would guarantee that I would never play correctly ever in my life. There are so many little things to remember. I would consider it a successfully played game if I played 75% correctly, just because, especially solo, just because of how many things there are to remember. But I just wanted to give a little more detail into why I really have grown to love HEXplore It. I cannot wait for the third game in this series. And even though there are still some things I dislike about it, namely the combat system and how it's really just a math puzzle you're working on to determine who wins and who loses the combat. But you know, the combat really isn't the focus of the game. The focus of the game is exploring the land and reading about all the things that can happen, and you know, doing stat checks and just discovering what this game has to offer you as a player. It can be overwhelming, but it can also be really, really exciting. So that's it, just a quick video today, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.